No, why? We're not even. We just started.
What do you mean? I burped on it, and I was gonna use that, but then I got something better.
No, dude, please don't. Please, please. I don't want to be ugly to people.
What are you talking about?
I don't want people to think I poop and fart and do things that girls don't do.
You're gross.
No, buddy.
Please, please.
Please.
Why?
Because it sucks.
Why?
Because I don't want to be considered a gross as fuck.
Baby, what's the deal? You wanna watch Netflix and chill? Baby, I'm for real. I won't pull out if you want the pill. Baby, what's the deal? You wanna watch Netflix and chill? Baby, I'm for real. I won't pull out if you want the pill.
What's up, guys? JP back at you once again, bringing you guys episode number 12 of the Netflix and Chill Horror Podcast. Joining me tonight, as always, is my lovely co-host, Miss Carly. What's your last name?
That was Anderson. Asshole.
You were saying?
I was going to say that was a lovely intro. You called me lovely and miss in one sentence, and I've never heard that much respect out of you, so thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. But then, as you can see, like any skillful male does, is they compliment you and then they insult you directly afterwards by me not knowing your last name.
That's what you're trying to... Yeah. I see what you did there, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you build them up so you can knock them down.
I don't know, that wasn't that offensive to me. I didn't even realize you were making a joke there, so you kind of failed.
On the surface you didn't, but subconsciously, you know.
Well, now that you said it, like, I feel kind of bad, but, like, you know, I'll get over it.
Yeah, so we're back. It's been... When was the last episode we posted?
July 26th, it looks like.
So, what is that, like, almost a half year?
No, it's like 4 months, but, you know, close enough.
Alright, well, whatever. So yeah, man, it's been a little while. We got really busy with, well, you didn't get busy with anything. I got busy with a bunch of stuff. 22 Shots, Married with Children podcast, MMA cast.
Yeah, all these podcasts that, like, you just pulled out your ass at the last minute. Now they're more important than mine, yeah.
Yeah, and you actually don't do anything else. No podcasts, right?
I do the once a month thing with Jerry. But, I mean, if he spills tea all over his equipment, I guess that's, you know, done for. But, you know, we do the Horror podcast.
The
unofficial
Horror podcast.
Yeah.
Horror Pack
Gotta
podcast.
watch myself.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I haven't listened to that yet. How is it?
I mean, I think we're doing pretty good. We've only done 2 episodes so far, but, you know, I think our last one was pretty solid. We reviewed the film pretty well and we enjoyed it. And then, you know, we talk about briefly the other 3 films you get in the horror pack and stuff like that. So I think we're doing pretty well.
Now, do you try to watch... Well, so just to give the listeners who might not be familiar with that show an idea of what it is it?
Well, if you don't know what Horror Pack it is a monthly subscription box where you can get either 4 DVDs or 4 Blu-rays, horror Blu-rays, that is, by mail, and I believe it's like $20, like around $20 for the DVDs, and then around $25 for the Blu-rays. Jerry and I both get the Blu-rays, and it's completely random, and then in the Horror Pack you always get, I think it's like Horror Pack exclusive or something along those lines, like a movie from Horror Pack that's like usually like an independent film, and it's always autographed by people who made them, which is pretty cool. And
see,
basically
I actually didn't know that. I didn't know that it came autographed.
Yeah, but, I don't know if Night of Something Strange did. That was like one of the first ones I got, but like I think the other 2 I got had like autographs from the actor, one of the actors and directors, so that's pretty cool. The the one we just did was actually made by one of the people who runs Horror Pack, apparently, and I really enjoyed it. It was independent, but basically we just reviewed that exclusive movie. That's like the main topic, and we also, before that, talk about the other 3 movies briefly. We don't make it a priority to watch all of the movies just because of time and things like that, but if we are familiar with them, like for example, the last one we got, I had seen, Joyride was in it. I'd seen that. I love that movie. And House is October Built, which I had just watched, and then Lost Boys Part 2, which I had not seen. So, we just kind of briefly discussed those as well since I had some familiarity, but yeah, it's basically just us reviewing the Horror Pack in general and then that exclusive film that you get.
That's pretty cool. I do think that that's a neat concept. I was actually a little disappointed that I didn't come up with it because it seems like something that would be up my alley. And honestly, I like that you guys cover the exclusive, but I honestly wish that you guys would talk about, and I haven't heard the show obviously, but I know you guys talk about them, but if you guys don't record right away when you get the pack, if I was you, I would try to watch the other 3 films.
Yeah. Like,
I know Jerry won't do it because he doesn't watch movies that much.
Yeah, that was his thing, but we've recorded like right after getting the pack, like within a couple days, and we just, because we obviously were just watching that one movie, so we'll get the pack, then watch it, then record like within like 2 days or so after watching it. But like with Joyride, I gave a pretty decent review of it just because I was familiar with it as well as the other one, so I was able to review them pretty solidly. But yeah, I feel you. I would like to try to watch as many movies in the pack as I can if I have never seen them before, just to put more content into it.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Guys, check out the Unofficial Horror Pack podcast. It sounds like a cool idea. That's pretty cool that they started autographing, some of the titles that come in it. I like that a lot. So let's see. I mean, I don't really know what the layout of this show is. I've never been happy with it. Like, I've always wanted to do more, but at the same time, it takes longer to do more. So, as of right now, we're just going to kind of pick one film and just kind of do an old school Netflix and chill. The whole reason why we started adding more things is because we would get movies that we had nothing to say about, really. Because we kind of pick them at random almost. And that would be kind of annoying if we just put out a 20-minute episode and that was it. But so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I mean, there's been tons of stuff that has come out since. So the original idea was to kind of focus and cover all the new things that came out on streaming, whether it be Netflix or Shudder or Hulu. You don't really mess with Hulu that much, but you guys get the point. And when you take a break, obviously, so much stuff happens. And it kind of does suck. The whole time all this stuff was happening, like, I did wish we were doing the podcast at the time because, like, there was all these exclusives during October. Like, there was 2 awesome Stephen King adaptations, which we both liked, both of them. There was an awesome horror comedy called The Babysitter that came to Netflix. Shudder got a ton of exclusives since then. So, there's been a lot of stuff. I mean, even before, like, right when we kind of ended for a little bit, like, even that Castlevania, it's funny because we kept saying, like, we should just change our name to Shudder and Chill because we pretty much cover mostly Shudder films. And then all of a sudden, when we take a break, all this stuff starts coming to Netflix.
Yeah.
So it was, like, really annoying because we kept saying, like, man, Netflix hasn't been really getting any horror. And then also, like, Stranger Things Season 2 has came out since then.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, that's a huge show. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about at some point, and maybe we just missed some of it and won't go back to it or whatever, which is fine, too, because we could always cover the new stuff that comes out going forward. But anything that, like, highlighted the past couple weeks since we've been gone for you?
Any of the things on the streaming things?
Yeah, like any new streaming stuff.
I mean, like you said, I did binge watch Stranger Things too, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, towards the end, it kind of gets like extremely sci-fi-ish, and like I almost didn't like that too much, but at the same time, I thought it was pretty solid. You know, I know people are getting sick of the hype for it, but I don't know. I think it's pretty awesome, and I like that a lot of people are into that. And you know, of course, there was 1922 and Gerald's Game. Those were both pretty solid adaptations.
Which one did you like more?
I think I rated them the same, but for me, I probably enjoyed Gerald's Game a little bit more. What about you?
Me and Matt kind of had a different perspective on 1922 because we had read the short story.
Blech.
What?
I'm so sick of you pretending that you read just because you like.
Why?
You read this one short story like 20 years ago, and you just think you're a G. All you did was bring up like, oh, I read this story, and this isn't accurate, and all this, and I'm just like, okay, buddy, I hear you.
Are you
I see
trying
you.
to say that I'm coasting on the fact that I've actually read one thing, and I'm just anytime I get a chance to reference that one thing, I do?
I'm saying you're a fake book fan.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But I have read some other things, just to let you know. Like, I've read It.
You listened to it be read to you.
Same thing.
All right, I'll give you it.
So you liked those two, and...
And then I'm trying to think if I've seen anything. I mean, on Shudder there was a movie called, I think it was called Can't Take It Back, and I watched that recently. You know, it was pretty average. It was a lot like Friend Request with the, you know, basically a girl is dead and people involves like a Facebook page with her and then some hauntings go on. It's basically like the same story, and, you know, I thought it was pretty, like, a little above average. I gave it like a 7 out of 10, I think. You know, it wasn't anything special, but I thought it was pretty entertaining and had its moments. And other than that, I can't really think of anything else that really stood out to me recently.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a ton of stuff streaming, more so now than I had in a while. You know, The Babysitter I really, really liked. That was really fun to me.
I didn't care
was
for
really
it
funny.
too much.
I know a lot of people didn't. Like,
Really?
most people that I talked to seem to not really care for it too much. Like, even like Robin and Shane, who obviously the listeners
Oh, really?
don't know, but we know. Like, they didn't really care for it. Some other people. I don't think Moods liked it that much. I can't remember.
I just, like, the comedy didn't really resonate with me, I guess, and it was just a little too wild. I don't know. I saw a lot of people posting about how awesome it was and how funny and great it was, and I was just kind of, like, disappointed.
Yeah, there's a better movie that uses the same sort of plot line called Better Watch Out, which is a Christmas horror movie.
I need to see that.
Yeah, I think it's a little better. It's a little bit... It still has that level of comedy. A level of comedy, I should say, but not that level of comedy. Also, streaming-wise, I checked out... This was, like, right before we quit. I was actually going to bring this up on one of the last shows. And it... you know, the one that we had planned right before we stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And it was called Man Versus. And this one was not an exclusive or anything, but it was on Netflix as a streaming film. And that one was really cool. It was about a guy who is... Have you ever seen, like, Survivor Man or, like, Man vs. Wild?
I used to watch Survivor Man all the time when I was young. It was great.
Dude, I grew up on Survivor Man. I absolutely loved it. Like, me and my friend were obsessed with it.
Yeah, it made me want to go live out in the woods and try to live.
Yeah. We hated Bear Grylls and Man vs. Wild, though. We didn't like it at all.
I never watched those.
Yeah. Well, he was just like a more like Hollywood version of Survivor Man. Like Survivor Man was like I'm going out by myself doing this shit.
Yeah.
Bear Grylls is telling you to do things that are going to get you killed, like therapy. It's like sensationalized is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And even Survivor Man doesn't like that guy. Like,
Really?
I've seen him in interviews. He's like, yeah, it's a guy. But so there was a movie called Man Versus where it was a guy who was like one of those dudes, like he went out into the woods and like filmed himself, and it was like a survival thing. And he goes out there and like something starts like messing with his stuff. And you're kind of like, oh, what is this? And then it eventually gets revealed towards the end, kind of a little twist ending and stuff. And there was actually a scene that was like really scary. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was like, I think it was a kind of a comedy, but I actually really liked that movie. There was another one that I checked out called Residue that I really liked. Did you watch that one?
I did watch it, and like I personally couldn't get into it. I might have, it might be one that I just wasn't in the mood for or something, but like I couldn't get into it, and then I like had trouble understanding it, and then I kind of just like gave up.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very confusing movie. It's basically about like a private investigator who like clearly is sort of not a great person. Like he kind of abandoned his daughter. He works for like criminals and things like that, doing shady stuff, and he gets control of like this important thing that both of these like crime lords want, and he basically gets it, and it's like a book, and he begins reading it, and turns out like the book is cursed, and as he reads it, one of the crime lords like wants to document what happens to him, because you pretty much go like insane as you read it, and like certain people have only got to certain pages before they have like died or something. So it was like a very weird, bizarre movie, but I really like stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I found it really cool. Other streaming stuff, I recently watched The Greasy Strangler, which was on Amazon Prime. We don't bring up Amazon Prime a lot, but Prime has a lot of cool stuff as well for streaming. Not as many like new things. Every once in a while they'll get something new. But Greasy Strangler was a really fun movie. I actually just talk about it on the episode of 22 Shots that aired today at the time of us recording it, which is the 22nd. And that movie was so much fun, but a lot of people wouldn't think that I like that type of movie, but I actually did. Another thing that we've been doing all month for the podcast is Italian Horror Month. We've done for the 22 Shots, and actually a few films that we reviewed were on streaming websites, like Burial Grounds is on Shudder, as well as another Italian film that I didn't review for the show, but I reviewed it, not for like a main review, but I reviewed it for a Patreon pick, called Zombie Holocaust. It's on Shudder. I believe Cannibal Ferox might be on Shudder, which we're doing next week. There's a lot of cool Italian flicks, so if you, Carly, are curious...
Yeah, sounds great.
You should watch Burial Grounds.
Yeah?
For the next time we record, and just tell me your feedback, because like that was a movie that is like kind of a weird one. Like some people are gonna hate it and some people are gonna love it. I wrote down a certain rating, but I feel like I might have came in higher than that. I have to double back and check when Rob sends me my ratings. But yeah, that's kind of it for the just recap of like things that we've been.
Actually, I forgot to mention, I did check out Raw and The Transfiguration finally, because those were two that people were talking about. I forgot that I watched those, and I enjoyed them both very much as well.
Actually, yeah, you know what? I actually watched Transfiguration as well, and I love that movie. The movie's getting a lot of hate.
Yeah, I know.
It's like some people really love it, and some people just think that it's completely average.
Like, I mean, for me, it's like one of those ones that's like arguably like a drama with like horror elements to it, but like, I don't know, I don't care. It was just like, had a great vibe to it. It reminded me of a lot of like Let the Right One In type deal, because it's kind of like vampire-esque and like has like this like romance going on in it, and like I don't know, I just really loved it, and then the ending really just stuck with me. Like it's one of the movies this year that I keep thinking about. Like some of them like I forget about easy even if I like them a lot, but this one I just keep thinking about in my head, and it's definitely one that's high up on my list.
Yeah, and speaking of our list and the films we've watched and stuff, so I believe we let the listeners know last time we recorded that we were doing a challenge. Want to update them? Like, where are you at right now?
Let me check. I have it on my phone, and I'm gonna look real quick because I never remember. I'm at oops, forgot the rate. 286.
Okay. I'm currently at 295.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't care. I just, whatever.
You're losing your microwave. It's like a month away.
Dude, you can't take my microwave.
Yes, I can.
My mom's gonna come over and she's gonna be like, "Where's the microwave at?" And I'm gonna be like, I don't know.
Just gonna be like, I gave it up. I was eating too bad out of it, so I didn't want it. I got it locked up in a storage.
Oh man, I don't know, dude. It's gonna be rough. I still have a chance. We're only in the end of November.
Yeah, not a good chance. So because I'm about to go crazy on 2017 films.
Mm-hmm. Well, me too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
I said, yeah, right.
And I said, yeah, right. You're right. I am. Yeah.
So, besides the little challenge thing that we got going on, I'm actually very happy with my numbers this year. I could not watch another movie this year, and I would still be very impressed with where I ended up. Because my record was, what,
250.
51? Yeah, 251
Yeah.
was my record, or 256, I can't remember. But
it was 251.
yeah, so
Mine was 225 last year.
So you're really killing it compared to last year.
Yeah.
Just only your second year really trying this.
Yeah, I mean, my microwave's on the line, so I kind of had to kill it a little harder this time around, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, should we get into our featured review?
The Move? Yes.
Alright, so tonight we are talking about Another Evil from the year 2016, getting its official release in 2017. Do you have a... Wait, it was directed by Carson Mell, who I looked at his filmography, haven't seen a single thing that he's done, but he wrote it and directed it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a synopsis for this one?
Yes. According to the IMDb, it says, after encountering a ghost in his family's vacation home, Dan, a modern artist, and his wife Mary hire an industrial-grade exorcist named Oz to get rid of the beings. But Dan soon realizes that ridding the home of evil won't be as simple as it seems.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good for the synopsis there.
Yeah.
So, this movie is considered a Shudder exclusive. Now, that's kind of an interesting word because we've talked about Shudder exclusives in the past on this program, and it's kind of a loose terminology, really, because, like, exclusive means one thing to certain people, but it's clearly not that same definition for all. So I was in the group chat that I have between me, Jeremy, and Moods last night, and I was like, just bullshit, and I was like, yeah, I'm about to check out that new Shudder exclusive, and Moods was like, oh, what is it? And I was like, oh, it's that movie Another Evil, and Jeremy goes on a little rant where he's like, oh, that's not a fucking exclusive, like, blah, blah, Dark Sky put it out, and I was like, yeah, I know, I get press for Dark Sky, as do you, so I know that as well as you do. Because I got press for this movie like months and months ago that Dark Sky was putting it out. It actually, they even had a screener links, but I never checked it out because the cover honestly is not very appealing to horror fans.
Yeah.
But I did watch the trailer to it for some reason, even though I don't watch trailers. It might have been a long time ago that I watched the trailer and before I completely stopped. And I was like, oh, that actually looks pretty funny. And pretty cool. So I was like, maybe I should check this out. I just never got around to streaming it. Anyway, long story short, Dark Sky eventually put it out on DVD and Blu-ray, or at least DVD. I don't know about Blu-ray. And that's Jeremy's argument that it's not an exclusive because Dark Sky put it out on DVD. Which is a fair point because, like, what does exclusive actually mean? Well, I know that Rob Zombie's 31 was their first exclusive, or second. I think Phantasm 5 was one of their first exclusives as well. And those movies had like theatrical runs, and then they went to streaming and were on Shudder. And then you have other movies that you can't see anywhere else except for Shudder. Stuff that, you know, I guess stuff that were like, I don't know, Always Shine or something like that.
Yeah.
That we covered on the show. And then you have other things like We Are the Flesh. Great movie, by the way. That was on Shudder, and then like just a couple days later, or even before it, got a Blu-ray release from Arrow Video. So, what does exclusive actually mean? To me, I think what a Shudder exclusive is, now keep in mind that exclusive and original are two different words as well.
Mm-hmm.
An original is a production, a film that they created, like a Lifetime original movie or a Disney Channel original movie, meaning they produced it in-house and created it for their network. Shudder has a few originals on their streaming service, but I think they're like TV show kind of things, which we've talked about one here before. Do you remember what it was called?
Off of Shudder.
It was like about magic.
Primal Screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was actually it. So, basically what I'm getting at here is that I think that what Shudder exclusive means is that it's exclusive streaming rights.
Mm-hmm.
And that means not just because Jeremy also brought up the fact, because when I said that, he was like, well, you can stream it on Prime for $6.99 or something like that. And I'm like, okay, so really what it means, to get super specific, is exclusive streaming exclusive streaming subscription rights. So I think what it means is that they are the only place that has, you know, free, quote unquote, streaming for the film. Like, yeah, you do pay $5 a month for Shudder, but you're not paying for the individual item, you're paying for the service. So I believe that that's what they mean by exclusive when they say that. Like, you're not going to be able to stream it on Netflix. You're not going to be able to stream it on Amazon Prime. You can stream it on just Amazon Video where you pay for it. You're not going to be able to stream it on Hulu. So I think that's kind of what they're getting at when they say exclusive. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, like, I mean, you know, at first I thought, like, exclusive. In my head, that just meant, like, no one else has these movies at all, which, like, I was confused when I saw, like, 31 and Phantasm 5 on there because they were, like, well-known movies, but the way you describe it, like, that seems legit to me.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that whenever you make a film, like, let's say I went out and made a film called JP is Awesome. And this movie did really well, obviously. Then it does really well on the festival circuit. I have these different networks shopping to buy my movie. And basically, Arrow Video approaches me. They want to put it out on Blu-ray. You know, maybe Anchor Bay approaches me. They want to put it out on Blu-ray, even though Anchor Bay doesn't do shit anymore. But you know, so you basically have a bidding war for your content. Now, if that content is going to be on Blu-ray, you're going to have people coming at you for deals for Blu-ray. If you're going to put it on streaming as well, you're going to have people coming at you for deals for streaming. And you're also going to have people from foreign markets wanting to do foreign sales, like put it out on Blu-ray in the UK. So there's all these different distribution deals that you do. Sometimes you have a company that will get a distribution deal done that allows them to put the film on Blu-ray and stream it as well. But a lot of times it's just one or the other. Like, so you have streaming rights, you have, which I believe subscription streaming rights, and then you have sometimes VOD rights. Like sometimes DirecTV will get an exclusive, like Leatherface, which was, they were the only people that you could rent it from. And then you have obviously the DVD and Blu-ray, theatrical rights, stuff like that. So I think that it's like a little bit more complex than most people think. And I don't know why I got into that. Just thought I'd bring it up since Jeremy talked a bunch of shit on me because he's like, it's not an exclamation. You know how he talks. He's so annoying.
Yeah. He
like,
sucks.
He's like, fuck, it's not an exclusive. Come on, JP.
Yeah, fuck Jeremy.
Fuck you. Anyway, so let's get into Another Evil. This movie is pretty much a two-man show. You don't have a lot of supporting cast in this film. You pretty much just have these two actors. Mm-hmm. And what do you think?
I mean, like, I really dug it, like, going into it. I could tell right away that I was going to enjoy it. Like, it just gave me that vibe. Like, I was going to be able to, you know, thoroughly pay attention to it and not, like, fall out of the story. Like, I was hooked right away. And, you know. Why? Well,
yeah.
The beginning part to begin with actually spooked me a little bit. There was...
Spooked, you say?
Spooked! It was, like, 10...
How did it spook you?
Well, they're in this house, right? It's like their summer home, which, first of all, it's a very nice house. You see, like, the outside.
It's a very nice summer home.
Yeah, very nice.
A lot nicer than my summer home, which is just my regular home.
Just a box out in the streets. Yeah. But, you know, it's very nice. Like, I just like the shots of it. There's, like, these triangle windows, and, like, it's, like, really colorful and stuff like that. But, anyway, you got this family. It's, there really is, like, basically 4 actors in this, and, like, 2 of them are irrelevant. But, this family, it's just a dad, a mom, and their, like, teenage son. They're just, like, hanging out, playing games and stuff, and then they hear a noise upstairs, and, you know, daddy goes up to see what's going on, and then all of a sudden this freaking spook comes out, and it's one of those, like, jump scares. It's not really a in-your-face jump out at you with a loud banking noise, like something out of, like, you know, Annabelle or The Conjuring or something like that would do. It's one of those ones where, like, you're watching, you're not, like, expecting to, like, be scared, and then something just spooky happens, if that makes sense, like, without, like, any loud shebang. Yeah, Phil?
Yeah, I do feel. I didn't find it overly spooky.
I don't know, like, just stuff like when you, like, see something, like, happen in the background that, like, you're just not... I'm one of those people who hides behind my hands. Like, I won't lie. Like, I still do that. I'm 20, and, like, I still hide behind my hands, like, when I go see a scary movie in the theaters, because I'm prepared for, like, the jump scare, and a movie where...
Would you say, like, Annabelle 2?
Yes. Like, but in Annabelle 2, like, you can just feel that something scary is going to happen, and then, like, in this movie, you know, like, something scary is going to happen, but you don't know when, and then it happens before I have time to hide behind my hands, and I'm just, like, I have that heart attack feeling, and I hate that feeling, but I love it at the same time because it's effective. So, I don't know why you didn't think it was spooky, but I thought it was pretty spooky.
Because I'm not a vagina.
I am not that much of a vagina. Only a little bit.
So basically, I thought that right away I liked it because I was like, okay, I'm a fan of these characters. Because, like, at first, it's, you know, the husband, and he gets this guy who's supposed to be like this, I don't know, like a demonologist or like I don't know what you call those people.
I thought he was like an exorcist.
Something.
No, that would be like
a
paranormal investigator of sorts. Yeah.
Yeah, there's another word for it too. But he comes in and he just looks like a complete slacker. And he's all just like, he's like, you know, walking over here and doing stuff and like gets into their like refrigerator or like cupboard or something. You know what I mean? Like, very just unprofessional. And he tells him that, yeah, like, hey man, these ghosts are like pretty cool. Like, you should be, like, you get, like, he's like, so we have to live with them? He's like, well, you don't have to live with them. He's like, you get to live with them. Basically saying, like, they're non-violent, non-threatening, they're just chill as hell, and if you just got used to them, then, you know, it wouldn't be a big deal. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the husband guy is like, I don't want to live with ghosts. So he talks to another person who refers him to another sort of demonologist slash ghost expert guy who comes in, and this guy is a little weird, but seems to be more professional, seems to have his shit together a little bit more than the first guy. But also you could tell, like, they know each other. Like, so this guy knows of the first guy that they brought in, and he's just, like, you could tell that he just has, like a disdain for him, sort of like they're competitors.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, enemies. And he's like, yeah, there's some stuff here, but it could be kind of malevolent type stuff and not so nice.
Mm-hmm. It refers to that guy as an industrial-grade exorcist on the plot summary, so that's, like, his job title, I suppose.
Which is a little weird, because, like, typically, like, people who do exorcisms are, like,
priests.
priests.
Yeah, I know. It does actually make sense.
So, and he doesn't come in to do an exorcist, right? He just... Well, I mean, kind of, I guess, but, like, it's not somebody possessed.
Yeah, he's going in to, like, basically get the ghost out. I don't really know what the word would be for that.
So, the movie is very interesting because the story is kind of simple at first, and really what the film does is play on these two characters. So, basically, the wife and the son, like, move out for a little while, and then they're, not at the summer home, obviously, and this guy just stays there to kind of hang out with this ghost hunter dude who's, like, trying to trap the ghosts, and they begin to bond.
Mm-hmm.
They begin to talk about different things, and you could tell that the ghost hunter, which, by the way, we need to get names here.
Oz. His name is Oz.
Oz?
Yeah. I forget what...
Okay, so Oz is sort of like a little bit of like a weirdo. Like, he's just like very, like, how would you describe him?
He's like it's like awkward. He's one of those people who you would get the vibe he would tell you his whole life story within 2 minutes of knowing you, and you, like, don't really want to know that information, is the way I would describe him.
He's, like, very forward.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't seem to respect people's personal space or boundaries. He's somebody who's just very outgoing, but at the same time could definitely rub people the wrong way. But you do genuinely feel like he's coming from the heart with things. So it's like you'll kind of like put up with some annoyance because you like feel bad for the guy or you like him. And so these two begin to, like, sort of hit it off, but not from an equal standpoint relationship. Like, clearly the husband feels like he's above the ghost hunter, which is Oz, and not above as in, like, oh, I'm, like, richer than you or something, but just, like, above on, like, a social, like human level of, like, okay, this guy's weird, I'm not weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to kind of go into this one because, like, I don't know how much to talk about. Mm-hmm. But essentially, like, we find out that, like, this guy's very forward. Like, Oz is very much, like, wanting to be friends. Like, you can see these little seeds planted early on. Like, he'll just drop little things like, oh, I'm really glad this is fun. This is fun.
Yeah, and he'll be like, hey, you wanna go get some breakfast? And then other dudes just kind of like, oh, I was doing this today, but you can go by yourself.
Yeah. And you could see that the husband, whose name is
Dan,
is a very, like, nice guy. Like, he's not a douchebag. Like, clearly they have some money because they have a summer home.
Yeah.
He's a painter. Which his paintings do come into play into the story, where they might have something to do with the plot, the ghosts and things like that. But he's not a jerk. Like, he's a nice guy. He's very tolerant of people. Like, he's somebody that pretty much you can almost probably walk all over pretty far before he, like, gets ticked off and he, like, had it up to here and he, like, revolts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he'll bite his tongue for a while type guy. Which is kind of how I am, so I can, like, kind of relate to him. Like, I could totally see myself just like, you know, like putting up with some nonsense for a while.
I mean, yeah.
Just because I don't want to offend anybody.
I do the same thing, but I never come to that like breaking point. I would just keep letting it go on and then bitch about it behind the person's back.
Yeah. So basically, also, you know, we like what's interesting about this movie is 100% the ghosts are real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he does have ghosts. It's not like in their head or something, or like you're not wondering if the ghost hunter's bullshit or not. Well, you kind of are. Like, you don't know if the ghost hunter guy is actually legit. Like, we don't know for sure that Oz is capable of trapping and hunting ghosts. He seems like it.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially he does catch one. It's possible he knows a lot about it, but we also see a lot of evidence to dictate that he's full of crap.
Yeah, and like
there's a scene in which Dan is kind of sick of Oz, because what this becomes, it's almost like, I don't know if this is the correct reference because I've never seen this movie, but I guess that wouldn't be. I'm not even gonna say it because it's probably wrong. But it's almost like an approach where you. What is the movie Single White Female about?
Are you serious, dude? I mean, I have another movie I was going to compare it to, but Single White Female, I mean, I'm trying to... You know, it's about a girl, she gets a single white female roommate, and then that roommate is basically trying to be just like her, kind of. So...
Okay, so it's
kind of
not necessarily that he's trying to be like him, but it's like he's trying to invade his life. Mm-hmm. Kind of like a movie we saw earlier this year called Friend Request.
Yeah, and I almost get like a creep type vibe from this movie too, with like you're just focusing on these two dudes, and one of them's like really weird, and the other one's just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, like going along with it because he doesn't want to hurt his feelings, but he's also like kind of scared by this guy, like weirded out by him. Like, it reminds me a lot of that movie.
Yeah, so we've seen that type of stuff before in movies, which I find is always effective. It's just like, I love cringy and awkward moments between characters, mm-hmm. because it's like, it just feels so uncomfortable. And you feel bad. Like, the whole time I was watching this, like, I was feeling bad for the guy, like Oz, because, like, you feel like he's a good dude,
yeah,
for the most part, but he's just a little crazy. And he comes in and he's trying so hard to, like, be friends with this guy, and he's also, you know, trying to help him. But you also get a sense that he's kind of bullshit, because, like, eventually Dan kind of gets sick of him, and, like, it's like he won't take hints, right? He's like, okay, so, like, we're done here, so, like, we're done here. And he's like, yeah, you know, I think I'll stick around. I think I'll stick around just to make sure. And he's like, actually, you know, that would probably be unnecessary. I think it's good. And he's like, I think it would be really wrong of me not to stick around. You know what I mean? It'd be against my, you know, it would be bad professionalism or something. So he's like one of those type of guys. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where it's like, dude, do you really want me to come out and say, like, get the fuck out of my house?
Yeah, he even says, like, I can't afford to pay for this anymore. And the guy's like, oh, it's free. I'm just going to stay here for free.
Yeah. He's like, well, that's about all the money that I'm going to spend on this thing. So, and so eventually, this Dan character kind of wants him out, so he fakes that he got rid of the ghost. And this is one of the big pieces of evidence that we see from Oz, where he says, "You know what? I think you did." You know what I mean? Because it's like
he doesn't feel anything.
Yeah, because clearly we know that the ghost is still there.
Yeah.
So, and he feels like it's gone, so we get evidence that he might not know what he's doing 100%, but we also get evidence that he might know what he's doing a little bit. So it's like up in the air, debatable how much he actually knows and how much he actually doesn't know, which is interesting because it adds to the mystery of his character, and it adds to the level of like, well, is he just completely mad? Like, do you kind of get that vibe?
Yeah, and like you kind of get the vibe like throughout the entire movie, and I feel like even by the end you don't even know for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that Oz does that I was feeling pretty bad for him is like there's one time where it's probably the start, and they even reference it, but it's probably the start of the huge downhill rolling that happens. Like, because everything was like kind of good, and then all of a sudden the Dan guy walks out into the kitchen, and Oz is just standing there completely naked.
That actually scared the hell out of me.
Like, staring off into space.
That was like one of those, that was another one that like, I was just, you know, it's not like a ghost or anything is standing there, but it was one of those things that caught me off guard, and I actually kind of jumped a little bit.
But, so in that, like, I felt bad for him because I'm like, that is like such an awkward thing to happen that like there's no turning back from this. Like you're going to be looked at differently no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if you have like the greatest excuse in the world why you're naked, it just does not make sense to the person's house that you're in.
Yeah, I like the part where they're sitting there at night and he's like telling him the story of why he became like a hunter and things like that, and like the guy's just like kind of.
Okay, so that moment is the moment that you really realize, like, okay, this guy is 100% crazy.
Yeah.
And it is such a great moment because it goes on and on and on and on. And then, like, you think that it's going to end in some way where it's like, oh, yeah, psych, or something like that. Or, like, it's going to have this, like, big, like, meaning or something like that. But really, it's just like, okay, so, like, I guess that all actually happened.
Yeah, and, like, the other dude, Dan, he's just sitting there, like, you know, taking it all in and, like, respecting the story. And it's just, like, it reminds me of, like, a real-life incident where, like, you're talking to someone who's, like, just makes up lies or something, and you're just like, oh, my God.
Yeah, and you could see, like, there's, like, at a certain point, Dan starts getting, like, really uncomfortable with the story.
Yeah.
He's like, so, then, you know, Todd, he was the leader of the, like, so-called group. He just, like, unzips this poor old guy's pants, and he just pulls out his wang and starts waving it around. and the barista sisters were getting the crack out of this, and, like, I'm just like, what the hell?
It was just so out there.
Yeah, it was. And it just rambled too, because it just didn't have direction.
Yeah, it felt like the guy made it up on
the part
top
where
of his
they
head.
went to the restaurant, it just seemed like weird. Like, oh, he had eye gook on him, so I like grabbed it and like ran to the bathroom and like washed my hands, and then there was this woman and she like blah blah, and it was like
they went to a Denny's, he said too, and I thought that was funny because I'm just picturing like my Denny's and this going down.
Yeah, but the movie kind of is open-ended in terms of like how much like what the climax of the film is. Like, it leaves it kind of open-ended on like if everything's real or fake.
Yeah.
Not everything, but certain things. Which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really good, and it wasn't nearly as comedic as I was expecting.
For me, it was like, I felt like it was comedic all the way throughout, like even during like really serious parts, I thought it was comedic, but not like laugh out loud comedy. It was more like like it was disturbing. Like the comedy's supposed to be like that this guy's like a freak in his house, and like the other guy just like wants him out, and it's like, it's supposed to be funny in that way, but like it's like horror in the way of like just like awkward situations like that, and like you don't know if this guy is crazy or not, and you have him like invading your home and things like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, I never really laughed out loud or anything during this, but I could see the comedy elements behind it.
Yeah, like, to me, I thought that it was just really fucked up humor.
Yeah.
And, like, that's my favorite kind, I guess, is, like, I like humor that's, like, it's funny because of, like, how dark it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's black comedy, essentially.
Yeah, I think it worked really well for this idea.
Yeah. So, anyway, do you have any final thoughts? You want to get into ratings here?
One other thing that I do like is, like, how you know, you think it's going to be like all about this ghost story, but then like it's actually just about these characters for the most part, but there are ghosts at the same time, and I think that's kind of a cool idea where like they kind of mislead you thinking it's going to be like a haunted house type movie, like your average movie, and then it ends up being about like just like an awkward character and like an awkward situation. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It does kind of mislead you into thinking that it's going to be like a funny ghost busting adventure. But really, it's not at all. There's ghosts there, which does add a cool element to it, but it's more about this crazy relationship and friendship that begins to blossom and then go way downhill fast.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, so this was my pick, so you go ahead and rate.
Alright, well, you know, like I said, this movie is like the perfect type of definition for black comedy. I really liked the story. I really felt like I connected with the characters. The acting was done really well, and I was interested all the way through. It didn't really disappoint or anything like that. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, you know what? I'm right there with you, except for, yeah, I mean, I'd probably say that I feel exactly the same as you on this one. I came in at 8 out of 10 as well.
Cool.
Like, it hurts to kind of not give it an 8.5, because there are a few films in my, like, watch list that, for my top 10, that I gave kind of higher ratings that could probably go down a little bit. I'd probably say that maybe Jigsaw could go down a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd say that Mother can probably go up a little bit.
No.
I'd probably... You have a beef towards Mother.
Fuck a Mother.
What are you going to do when it makes all my top 10s?
All your top 10s. Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Like, I couldn't... That movie was just... I can't even describe, like, why It just didn't do it for me.
Do you not like good movies?
Dude, you didn't even understand. You're a fake Mother fan. You didn't even
But I knew it was good, though. You gotta admit, I came out of the theater kind of...
I will admit... Shh, calm down. I admit the performances were, like, phenomenal. I think, you know, Jennifer Lawrence and, he had, like, some weird... He was, like, foreign or something. I forget his name. But, like, I think they did a great job. The acting was all good. You know, the setting was beautiful, and at first I was, like, really into that movie, and then, I don't know, it just, like, as it kept going on, I was kind of, like, it got too repetitive. I understand why, but, like, I just was not feeling it. It was not my type of flick. I understand all the subliminal crap, but, like, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think you just don't like good moves.
I do. I love Another Evil.
I think you just don't like metaphorical moves.
I do sometimes. Just, like, it's hit or miss for me. Very hit or miss.
Your opinions stank.
You stank! You think We Is the Flesh is great!
We Is the Flesh is awesome.
No!
Top 10!
You know,
baby!
Dude, for real? Your top 10...
I don't know.
Your top 10 is going to be so pretentious and fake. I can't wait to hear this.
It's not, dickhead.
Like, you suck.
I hope you don't have Jigsaw in your top 10, because you're going to get...
Dude, I don't. Like, I did give it a pretty, like, high rating, but it has since been, like, bumped off, like, way down, so.
Yeah, when I thought about it a little bit more, I was like, okay, I think I was just happy that I had fun.
Yeah, I was hoping that it wouldn't be stuck on the top 10 by the end, and we're good.
Okay, so, I think that is it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I think that is it. All right, so thank you for joining us once again for the Netflix and Chill Horror Podcast. We will be back next week with...
You
don't have a film for next week?
I didn't know. Buddy, I didn't know that we were doing it next week. I thought you were going to give up on me again.
No, I'm going to say we're going to do this next week, and then it'll actually come out like a month after that.
Well, Yeah, I got nothing. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to, look into it. But we will do something next week. Next week. Be ready.
And I think I have an idea going into 2018.
Yeah?
To kind of add a little listener kind of interaction a little bit.
Ooh, cool.
All right. So, later, guys.
Peace.
Baby, I'm for real. I won't pull out if you want the pill. Listen up, all you little cuties. I might call you over for a movie, but all I really want is the booty. 5 minutes in, we'll be naked and spooning. Next thing that you know, we in my bedroom. Clothes hit the floor. The head was like, damn, looking way better than you do on Instagram. We tried to watch Forrest Gump. She said she was bored. Let's hum. I said, bitch, I gotta take a dump. Lit some incense, then we fuck. I called the renew, but we got 6 minutes for a quick little nooner. So thank you, Netflix, for the marathon of wet dicks. Baby, what's the deal? You wanna watch Netflix and chill? Baby, I'm for real. I won't pull out if you want the pill. Baby, what's the deal? You wanna watch Netflix and chill?